Hello people, how's it going? This is DJ357 here for yet another episode of DJ357 Plays, and this time we're going to be playing Sid Meier's Civ 5, so Civilization 5. So any of you who are not familiar with any of Sid Meier's games, basically what he excels at and specializes in is turn-based strategy games. So most people in the gaming community think, oh, strategy game, and then people who kind of like strategy games, most of those people who hear turn-based strategy go, oh, turn-based strategy. So some people love it, some people hate it. It's kind of like Marmite or Bovril, which I think are disgusting. You either love them or you hate them. So we'll just fire straight into it. So as I said, this is Sid Meier's Civilization 5. What we're going to be doing is both for myself, because this is I've played a little bit of this, but I want to go through the tutorial again. And for any of you who are either not familiar with any of Sid Meier's previous games, not familiar with turn-based strategies, or not familiar with this game, we're going to go through the tutorial. Okay, so this is the tutorial. Basically, we learn as we play, so it goes over movement and exploration, it goes over founding cities, improving cities, combat and conquest, and basic diplomacy. So what we're going to be aiming for here is we're going to be aiming for about 20 or 30 minutes, so we'll try and kind of fly through as quickly as we can while covering some of the basics, because my main goal with this video for you guys is to give you an idea, number one, of what Civ 5, number one, an idea of what Civ 5 is like, and number two, an idea of what a turn-based strategy game is like. So I don't want to go all the way in depth. I don't want to be playing through the turns, you know, for an hour or 2 hours, because it's extremely easy to do in this kind of game, let me tell you. So we'll just go straight into it. So tutorial, learn as you play, start selected tutorial. So I would have previously played one of Sid Meier's other games called Alpha Centauri, and it's kind of similar to that. So if any of you who've ever played Alpha Centauri,
we
kind of
greet
similar.
thee, O great Ramses, Pharaoh of Egypt.
So what we have here is we have Ramesses II, and a little kind of description of Ramesses and stuff like that. We can see here that the Egyptians are kind of focused on monument building, so they gain a 20% bonus to production towards wonder construction. So we'll describe a bit of detail later on what that means. We also get the burial tomb, which is a unique unit, and we also get the war chariot, which is a unique unit. Sorry, this is a unit, and this is an actual
for uncounted years,
how would you say that? An improvement, or maybe
nations around them have
I can't think of the right word. It's a building, I think, that we can actually build in our city. So that's just basically what it is. So we'll just dive straight into it. So this is Civilization 5. Okay, so we have basically on our screen we have different hexagonal tiles, which are various different points where we can move to.
This is a good place to found a city.
So the great thing about this tutorial and about this game is it goes through really
found city button.
easy to understand tutorial messages. Even when you're playing the main game, you can have these tutorial messages on, and you can have what are called advisors, giving you hints and tips about what you should be doing in certain situations. So at this point, we have a settler unit, so these are our Egyptian settlers, and this is our warrior unit. Now our settlers can build a city, okay? So let's just go ahead and build the city. So over here we have our orders that we can give our units. So anybody who's never played a strategy game before, basically what you have is you have units. So they're basically groups of little people who do stuff for you. So you have builders, you have fighters, all that kind of stuff, and you can give them specific orders to carry out. So we're going to give these settler units the order to found a city. Ta-da! So we've just founded the city of Thebes, I believe. Okay, so Thebes has lots of values and information and stuff here. We'll go over that in a little bit. What you can see over here, so it's kind of hard to point at it for you guys. So what you can see over in this area, when I mouse over a specific tile, is you can see what that tile is. So that's some grassland. This is a forest and grassland, and it's also near a river. This is just grassland. This is just grassland. That is a forest and plains and hill. And it tells you how much food it can produce, so it gives you the output there. And it also tells you a value for the production of that tile. So how much that tile will contribute towards production. So that might be a little bit technical for some of you guys who've never come across this kind of game before. So we'll forge on. Okay, so we founded the city. So we say, okay, thank you, economic advisor, that's good. So what we can do here is we can ask these various different questions. It'll give us lots of different information. So that's one of the great things about any of Sid Meier's games, is it comes with extensive documentation. So if you don't know what a thing does, look it up in the in-game encyclopedia. So this is a civilopedia. So you can ask all these wonderful questions and figure out what's going on. So that's something I'm going to primarily leave up to you guys to try and figure out on your own if you decide to go ahead and play this game. From my point of view, I'll just be covering the really, really basics and maybe a couple of specifics geared towards, say, my playthrough of the game, because this is the tutorial, but I'll be planning on making a couple of videos of some actual proper playthroughs of the full game. So, okay, so we say thank you. So now we have our foreign advisor telling us that we should go out and explore the world. Okay, so how do we do that? All we have is a city, which can't really move anywhere, and we have a warrior unit. Aha, okay, so what we do is we select our warrior unit, and in this, when a unit is selected, right click on a tile to have that unit move there. So we want to move to this tile, and boom, we've moved. Okay, so because this is turn-based, what happens is we've used one, what's the word? Can't even think of the word now. So we've used one turn, let's say, of our movement, so we can move 2 tiles in a turn. Okay, so we've moved 1 tile, so now we'll go move another tile. Okay, perfect. So now we're technically at the end of the turn. So let's say it's a turn-based game. So what we need to do is we have over here all different stuff that we actually need to deal with before the end of the turn. So it'll tell you nicely here, oh, okay, so you may select a new construction project for one of your cities. So cities in this game and in turn-based strategies, turn-based strategy games like Sid Meier's games, what you can do is your cities are where you build stuff. So in other strategy games,
I have some information
say real-time
that
strategy
may
games, what
be
you
of
do is you build
use.
a base and you build various different buildings, and those different buildings can build units, and those units are the ones that go off and do the stuff for you. Now, some of those buildings can be defensive, they can be offensive, they can be simply financial, this, that, and the other. So in this game, the city is where you build all of your stuff. So it's where you build improvements, where you build buildings that allow your population to flourish, and it's also where you build all the units. So here, what we want to do is we want to choose a unit to build. So a worker is someone who goes around basically improving the area around your city. So that gives you increased food production, it gives you increased production, and it gives you increased gold. Now, the production value is what determines how quickly you can build stuff. Okay? So production, it sounds a bit vague and a bit wishy-washy, but that's all it is. It determines how quickly you can build something. So in this area, in this city, we have production 5. So it tells you right there if you mouse over. Production is what determines how fast a city can build units, buildings, etc. So it's collected from the terrain and buildings and other various stuff. So as you can see over here, this forest area, which is also grassland, which is also on a river, has a production value of 1. So when it's encompassed by this city's area, which will actually increase as the city increases in population, it contributes 1 to the production. So initially it sounds kind of complicated, it can be a little bit hard to get to grips with, but at the end of it, it's fairly simple. And as I say, all you need to do is mouse over all this stuff and it's right there. That's one of the things I love about this game, is everything is tool-tipped, and just all the information you need to figure out what to do or what's going on is included in the game. So it's not rocket science, but you know. Anyway, so culture is stuff that allows us to go on to social policies. So that's something we'll be looking at a little bit later on. So at the moment we need to build something. Okay. So what we will do is we can build a warrior who will help us defend our city, or maybe scout out the area, explore the territory. A scout will also do that for us. He has less strength. So strength, as you can see there, would be how strong he would be in combat. So he's weaker than the warrior, which makes sense because he's a fast-moving scout. Then we have a warrior who's slightly stronger. Then we have the worker who all he does is make improvements. So what I want to do is I want to build a scout. Okay. So it also, I completely forgot to mention there, it tells you, for the production, tells you how many turns it's going to take to actually build that unit. So because it's turn-based,
and production.
when you're building stuff, it takes a certain amount of turns for that stuff to actually go through. So what we can also do in here, in this area, just to let you guys know, is you can actually buy up some tiles. So if you have some spare gold, you can buy up a tile to increase production values, or to increase the amount of food you have available to you. More food you have available to you, quicker your population is going to go. Okay, So we will return the map, and that's fine, that's cool. We'll say thank you, economic advisor, and what we'll do is we'll choose some research. So just like in a real-time strategy game, if you people who are watching this happen to be familiar with those, what you can do is you can research various different technologies which give you a distinct advantage over the other players and allow you to build maybe better units or maybe different unique units, or they allow you to build this or that or the other. Basically, it just improves the amount of stuff that you can build and maybe improves the stuff that you already have there. So in a turn-based strategy, what you do is your civilization basically can research various different stuff, and it just takes a certain number of turns to actually go through and research that. So what we have here is we have all the technologies that are open to us at the moment. We can go pottery, animal husbandry, archery, mining, whichever one we want. They all give various different bonuses, and they also bring us to various different paths further down the technology tree. So we can open up the technology tree here and see that if we go with pottery, it gives us access to all of these, and then all of these in turn give us access to all of these, and so on and so forth, all the way down along the technology tree. So there's a lot of stuff there, even going all the way down to nuclear fusion and particle physics and stuff. So that just gives you an idea of how grand the scale of this game actually is. You start off with really, really humble beginnings, you know, back in, 4000 BC we're at, and you know, you go on to the space age pretty much. So this game is fairly large in scope. So yeah, you can see here we're at 4000 BC, we're at turn 0. Okay, so we'll choose the research. We will go with archery because we want to build some cool archers, and it'll lead us to mathematics. Okay, so it'll take 8 turns for that to happen. So in 8 turns we'll actually have discovered archery. Okay, so this is the crux of turn-based strategies. All your units have orders, and there's nothing else you can do. So you've given all the units you have available to you who are able to carry out work on this turn, you've given them all stuff to do. So there's nothing else to do, so now we end the turn. So we just click on next turn. And you can see down here, what it's doing is it's processing the turns for anyone else who happens to be in the game. So because it's turn-based, you have 1 turn, and you do all your stuff, and then you end the turn, and then everybody else gets a turn until it comes back to you. So like board games and like card games, very simple stuff like that. It can be handy. Certain people prefer real-time strategy games over turn-based strategy games because they say, oh, you know what, it allows me to kind of adapt my strategy on the fly, and I find it a little bit more, you know, kind of action-based. But the thing is, with turn-based strategies, it really gives you the opportunity to be really clinical and tactical about whatever you're going to do, because you can plan it out, and you can plan it out as long as you want. You can take as much time for each turn as you want. There's no pressure. So a unit needs orders, so we can click on this and it'll tell us this unit needs some orders. So let's go explore. So we're right clicking here and going to move off into this area. So okay, we have found a we have found a natural wonder, Cerro de Potosi. So the discovery of Cerro de Potosi has increased happiness in the empire, and if we work it, we'll get 10 gold from it. So basically, if that is a tile that is part of our city, it'll give us 10 gold per turn, I believe. I'm not 100% sure, we'll confirm that. So, our foreign advisor is advising us, ancient ruins hold secrets that may advance our civilization. Send a unit into an ancient ruin to see what it holds. So, this is Cerro de Potosi. Oh, sorry, this is, sorry, okay, I'm getting confused here. So, here we have ancient ruins, and here we have the natural wonder, which is Cerro de Potosi. So, those are 2 completely different things. Well, let's not get confused. So, we have discovered ancient ruins. So ancient ruins are something that, if any of you have ever played Alpha Centauri, because I've played it, that's why I'm mentioning it, you come across alien artifacts, and when you bring them back to your bases, you unlock various different random stuff, maybe a random technology, or you get an extra unit. In this case, ancient ruins function exactly the same way. Okay, so when we go into the ancient ruins, and we'll just see here, ancient ruins are the remnants of even earlier civilizations which rose and fell long before you came on the scene. They provide a random benefit to the civilization of the unit that first enters their tile. Okay, so you can get a number of different benefits. You can get free technology, you can get maybe they open up the map to you, you can get a weapons upgrade for a specific unit, you can actually get a unit from them, say from survivors who happen to be camped out in the ruins. You can get some treasure, you can get some extra culture, or you can get settlers or workers. So those are the various different things you can get. On the next turn, what we will do is we will send our warrior unit into the ruins to find out what they have there. Now, as I said earlier on, this is a natural wonder, so this is something completely different. And as I say, if we have a city that's nearby, or that has this as a tile that is working, it'll give us some bonuses. And just by benefit of actually finding that, we've increased some of the happiness in our civilization. So we have our happiness value here, and we can see all of the information about the happiness value there. So I'm not going to go into that too much detail, there's no need right now. So what we do is we just go next turn. So, okay, we now have our next turn, and we'll move into the ancient ruins. So, your unit equips itself with advanced weapons found in the ruins. So now, these guys, who used to be just a warrior, they're now spearmen. Awesome. Okay, so they are now more advanced.
Here is
So
some.
they have much higher strength. So let's see what kind of strength they have. They have, okay, 7 strength, so not much higher, but it's better. And we can also see that they have a 100% bonus versus mounted units. So the spearmen do really well against mounted units. Okay, so no other stuff to do this turn, so we'll just move on to the next turn. So, now it's back to our turn. We are now in 3880 BC. We're on turn 3, and we have 5 more turns until our archery technology is discovered. So, let's go wander a little bit more. Okay, so just before we move on to the next turn, I see something sparkly up here, and it's gold. Okay, so this tile contains gold, but before I can actually make use of it, I need to discover the technology called mining. So unfortunately, at the moment, it's just something nice and sparkly to look at. I can't actually use it yet. So there's an oasis, there's some stone, which is also something that we can make use of once we have discovered masonry. So at the moment, nothing else to do, we move on to the next turn. Okay, so now we're in 3840 BC, we're now in turn 4, and we're going to keep going. So we've discovered what may be the ocean. So there's some fish here, which requires sailing for us to take benefit of it. This looks like possibly some ice or something like that, so let's see, maybe. Cherry de Potosi. Not much else around here. Nothing else to do this turn. So you can see here on the city, the various different bits of information that are here. It's actually really handy. Once you understand what these bits of information mean, it's really, really helpful. So we can see here that the city has a combat strength of 8. So if any warrior was coming along with a strength 7, he wouldn't be able to immediately overwhelm the city. So that's good to know. We know it's called Thebes. We know based on the star that it's our capital. And we can tell here that there's 1 turn until our scout has been produced. And we can confirm that by mousing over here. And we can also see that the size of our city, the population, is 1. Now that doesn't mean... Well, actually that does mean that we have 1 citizen. Let me just confirm that. 1 citizen. Okay, so our population is 1. So we have 1 citizen. Okay. So in 4 turns, that population will increase to 2. So that 1 citizen will, I don't know, split himself asexually and become 2 people. I don't know how that works. So at that point our city will become larger and might be able to make use of more tiles. So anyway, we'll move on to the next turn. Try and see, can we get a little bit more going on in this city.
Our capital city has finished
In this
building
playthrough,
a
in this
unit.
video. So, our capital city has finished building a unit. Cities can build units, buildings, and wonders of the world, but only one at a time. So, that is the disadvantage of building stuff with the city. You can only build one thing at a time. So, it helps to have multiple cities, which is something we can easily do. So, we now have our scouts completed. So, what we can do is we can garrison them in the city, which would improve the combat strength of the city. But we built these guys because we want to explore. So, these guys can move 2 per turn. So they can move 2 tiles in 1 turn. So just go back down here. These guys have discovered cows or cattle, but unfortunately, like all the other stuff that is sitting around there looking nice and pretty, we can't actually use those cattle. We can't farm them or whatever until we discover animal husbandry. So that's a bit unfortunate, but anyway, we shall continue. We'll forge onwards, ever onwards. So, okay. So now we have discovered a barbarian encampment. So that's not good. So, in this game, what you have is you have players, like me, and you also have other players, which would be AI controlled, which would control other different civilizations. So, I have the Egyptian civilization at the moment. There could be some Greeks, or there could be some Romans, or there could be some French, or various different other people out there. But in every single game, there's always the barbarians, who are the rogue element, and they basically function as the guaranteed enemies who are always going to be causing hassle for you. So they have encampments in various different places around the map, and they will also spawn encampments randomly as well. So what you need to do is you need to keep an eye out. It's helpful if you have the whole map covered, and that way you can see encampments when they spawn. And basically, until an encampment is destroyed, it's going to continue spouting out actual barbarian units. So at the moment, this unit has completed all the turns it can, so it's out of moves.
I have some information that may be of use.
It can. So basically what's happened there is as soon as we move into what's called the zone of control, which is the area just around an encampment or a city, if it's an enemy city anyway, the unit moves up pretty much all of its movement for that turn, which is unfortunate, because that means we can't just run up to the city and then attack straight away in one turn. So that's something that's a little bit more complicated, and there's no need to go into it right now. Needless to say, we've moved up to the city and now we've run out of our turns. Or we've moved up to the encampment, run out of our turns. One handy thing as well is if you have a unit selected, a combat unit, and you mouse over another combat unit that's nearby, you can tell down here in this area what is actually going to be going on if you attack that. So we can see there that if we were to attack right now, we'd have a minor victory, and on the left hand side is our unit, and on the right hand side is the enemy unit. So based on the yellow bar that's there, the enemy would only just about come out worse than we would. So may not necessarily be a good idea to actually attack them now. Anyway, because our city has completed one project, it's now ready for another one. So what we may want to do is we may want to do a settler. Okay, we can't do that until we have 2 citizens, so that's unfortunate. Okay, so do we want the worker or do we want the monument? So the monument is a building. So you can see here there's units and then there's buildings. So units are, as I say, little people who go off and do stuff for you. Buildings are basically improvements that you can build inside your city that do stuff for you as well. Now they're unique to each city, so if you build a monument in one city, obviously it's not going to be in the other city. So the monument increases the culture growth of a city, speeding the growth of the city's territory and the civilization acquisition of social policies. So we don't really want to do that now. So we will go with, worker. So I don't think we'll get to the worker by the end of this video. We may need to split it up into 2 videos for this whole tutorial thing, just to keep things kind of condensed for you guys. I don't want to be giving you guys too much information. Sometimes I talk fairly quickly and I cram a lot of information into certain sections, so some of you guys may be kind of going back over certain sections just to try and figure out exactly what was going on. So we'll see once we get through this now. So next turn. Okay, so now we're on the next turn. This unit is now in a position to actually attack the enemy. So yeah, fuck it, we'll do it. Might as well. So our military advisor is telling us that one of our military units is near an enemy unit. To attack, order the combat unit to move into a tile occupied by the enemy. So in combat, both the attacking and the defending units may take damage and one might be destroyed. So in order to attack these guys, we right click and move in there. And then a nice combat animation plays out. Okay, so we can see that they have sustained a good bit of damage and we've only sustained but kind of a half damage. So likely when we attack next turn, they'll actually perish. So that'll be good. We'll be able to destroy the encampment that way. Awesome. Okay, so we've discovered another natural wonder, the Grand Mesa. So simply by discovering that, we've increased the happiness in the empire, so that's good. And if this tile has worked, it gives us a bonus of 2 to production, and it gives us 3 gold, and that's every turn. So okay, nothing to do this turn. Keep going. So, thank you, military advisor.
We have succeeded.
Okay. Thank you. So,
the enemy unit
fortified.
you are near is
so the enemy unit
fortified.
you're near is fortified. This means it has special defensive bonus, so that little shield flag there. Fortified units are extremely difficult to defeat one-on-one, so consider attacking with multiple units in the same turn. That'd be nice, but unfortunately I don't have multiple units to attack with, so we're just going to attack again. Should hopefully destroy them. Yes. Okay, so we've just captured that barbarian encampment, and luckily we recovered 50 gold from it. So those stupid barbarians left 50 gold lying around. How wasteful. So now our spearmen are unfortunately quite low on health at the moment, but unfortunately we can't do anything else with them in this turn. We can't really heal them or anything like that. So move our scouts out a bit further and move on to the next turn. So what can happen early on in this
After the
game
arrow,
is you can have turns
one
where
of the
pretty much
eagles
nothing
on
happens,
blue.
and you're just kind of biding time
often
until
give our enemies
maybe you
the
discover the
means
next
of our
technology, or you
destruction.
finish building that unit you've been waiting for, or so sometimes you're playing the waiting game. So we have now discovered archery. Huzzah! So now we can build the archer unit, which is awesome. So those archers will be ranged units. All the ones we have thus far have been melee units, so they needed to get very close
We
to
have
the
a
enemy
unit that is on
to
the verge
actually,
of being destroyed.
try and do some damage. So, because this unit has performed so successfully well and has gained so much XP, so experience, it can now be promoted. So, what we can do in the promotion is we can give them a bonus to combat strength when fighting in open terrain. We can give them a bonus to combat strength when fighting in rough terrain, or we can choose to heal them instantly. So that would be, it would be helpful if they were going to be attacked fairly soon and we didn't want them to die, but it would also use up the opportunity to actually promote them. So what I'm going to do is, there is a lot of, there's more rough terrain, as in hills, forests and stuff, than there is open terrain. So we'll go with giving them combat strength bonus when fighting in rough terrain. Okay. And now we can move these guys a little bit. Move these guys as well. Huzzah! Okay, so we have just discovered a city-state. So our foreign advisor is telling us city-states are small countries that are not competing to win the game, so they're not like other players completely. They are a little bit like other players. You may interact with them diplomatically, or you may go to war with them. So that is the way in which they are kind of like players, because they can be pissed off with you and they can send units against you, or they may be friends with you and they may try and help you out. But they're not players who are actually trying to win the game, so they can't do stuff that would defeat you and then win the game thereby doing so. So, we've met the city-state of Cape Town, so I'm the first empire that they've met, so they've given us a gift of 30 gold. Awesome. So, they have different traits, so they can boost the food production on the capital when we're friends. Their personality, so they're more random with their requests. Okay, and they're not currently allied with anybody at the moment. Now they also have some nearby resources under their territory, which would be some dyes. Now we don't really have any use for that at the moment, but if in future we do have a use for dyes, what we can do is we can start investigating, say, diplomatic trade missions and stuff like that with these guys. Now you can't do diplomatic trade missions, you can basically bribe them with money to be your friends. Or you can carry out various different things for them. Maybe they want this resource, and maybe they want you to kill this guy because he's been a cunt, or this, that, and the other. So, excuse me for saying the see you next Tuesday word. Okay, so we met the city-state of Cape Town, that's fair enough. City of Tebes has 2 citizens. New citizen would automatically work the land. So, our city has grown in size. And now, because we've now researched something, we can move on to researching something else. So, I'm going to go with animal husbandry, because that'll let us actually work the cows that we have nearby. And then we go to the next turn. Okay, so you can see down here we have our mini-map. So that kind of parallelogram that you have there shows us what we're looking at, or where we're looking at. This shows us a little mountain range that's here. That shows us some more mountain ranges that's there. That's our main city, and that is another city-state over there. So this unit wants to go do some stuff, so what we'll do is we will bring them over here. We want to explore some more, so we can give them orders that encompass more than one turn. So what you saw there was when I got them to move further than they can move in one turn, you saw the yellow 2 appear. That means they're going to do that in the next turn. So we'll bring these guys down here, explore a little bit more. And unfortunately there isn't very much interesting there, so I'll move on to the next turn. Okay, so we're now on turn 10, year 3600 BC. Not much else to do in this turn. Huzzah! We found another ruin. Okay, so that ancient ruin is going to give us some random bonus in the next turn. So, as you can see, because I ordered these guys to do something in the next turn, I don't have any moves to give them right now. Don't have any orders to give them right now. So, now they've moved. They're now available for more orders. Aha! We have met the city-state of Belgrade. So, as you can see, it's a little bit strange that Belgrade is so close to Cape Town, but whatever, you know, you can pretty much disregard standard geography when you're playing this game. So they're the first empire that we've met, so they provide us with a gift of 30 gold. Wahey! So they're kind of militaristic, so they'll give you occasional gifts of advanced military units if you're friends with them. They tend to make militaristic requests of you. They are friendly, so that's good. They are not allied with anybody at the moment, and their nearby resource is spices. So that is the spices that we have there. So those are their resources. Okay, so now we're going to move into the ancient ruins.
Shall the
Awesome.
clay say to
Okay,
him
so
that
we've just
fashioneth
discovered
it?
pottery by virtue of entering those ancient ruins, which is fantastic, because now we don't have to spend so many turns actually researching that ourselves. So now we are able to build a granary, which increases the amount of food that we can have in our cities. Awesome. Okay. Oh, and they still have some room to move around. Oh, we've discovered another barbarian encampment. Okay, we'll deal with those guys next turn. Okay. Now we don't want to move into that city-state, because if we occupy their territory, so we can see that their territory is delineated by this area. If we move into their territory, our relations with them are going to start going down. So if we start spending turns inside their territory and we're not friends with them, as in we don't have an agreement with them that we can actually be on their territory, they're going to start to dislike us. And the longer we're in their territory, the more turns we're in there, the more and more they'll dislike us, and they may even declare war on us. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to push our luck. So we'll stay outside their borders for the moment. And we're just going to ignore that encampment in favor of this awesome ancient ruins. Primarily we're going to ignore that encampment because our scouts are weak as piss, so they're not going to be able to take over that encampment. So let's just pretend it does not exist. Okay, so we're moving on to the next turn now. So
We have
these
a
units,
unit that is on the
this
verge
unit
of being
is
destroyed.
kind of weak at the moment. It's got very low health. So what we can do is we can try and heal it. So what we can do is we can tell them to fortify until healed. So basically they will form ranks and they'll sit there until they're all healed. So we want them to do that. We want them to be at full strength. So we click on fortify until healed. So thank you, military advisor, for advising on that. And we will now take our scouts into the ancient ruins. Fantastic. So we have just discovered a crudely drawn map which outlines the surrounding area. And that tells us that there is another city-state over here. So this is not a city-state, this is another player. Fantastic. I believe that is... oh, that may be Malaysia or Thailand or someplace like that. So, okay, that is part 1 of this tutorial done. I'm going to close it off there. What we'll do is we'll come back in the next video and we'll meet some other players and start being a little bit diplomatic about things. I hope. We'll see. So, thank you all for watching. I hope you found it a little bit interesting, a little bit entertaining. I hope it gave you a little bit of taste of what Civ 5 is like. And primarily, I hope it gave you the hunger to actually play this awesome game. And just be warned, if you do, this game will suck up hours and hours and hours of your life. And you will fucking love it. So, thank you for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe. Please comment. Please let me know what you think of the videos. Please let me know what you want to see. Any feedback you guys have whatsoever on the videos, on the content, on Civ 5. Do you think Civ 5 is awesome? Do you think I'm awesome? Do you think Civ is shit? Do you think I'm shit? Let me know. I want to know. So, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.